Hi everybody, I am going to confuse you by doing something completely different from recording live concert videos and show how you replace the car stereo on a Toyota Prius 2015. I'm going to try and one-shot this and do it in one go, but I have not actually successfully done this yet, and we will see what happens. So I am going to replace the stock one with this one here that I bought off of Amazon. And before I get started, I did actually try this earlier and realized that there are three different models of car stereo. So there's this one here, which has got 4 buttons down the left and 4 buttons down the right. There is another one which does not have the touchscreen, and there's another one that has slightly different buttons, and each one of them has different connectors on the back. So if you buy the wrong stereo, if you don't get the right connectors, you will get halfway through and realize this does not work, which is exactly what I did. So I had to order a different set of cables that you can see here, and hopefully these ones should fit. So I'm going to go about by starting by removing the trim from the car. Alright, so this piece here comes off. There are these 2 connectors here that have a release mechanism on them, so I'm going to just pull that clip, and I'm going to put this to one side in the back of my car. Next piece that comes off is this piece down here. So let me just go and find a good leverage point here for this. Okay, so this just sort of unclips as well, and just once you get it started, it comes off. Put that to one side. Next piece that comes off is this trim around the radio. So I'm gonna pull that off, and I'm just gonna put it up there. It can stay out of reach up there. Final piece that you just kind of need to remove is the power button. I'm not going to completely remove that either, because that'll be useful later on. I'm not going to put the trim back in until I'm finished doing with it. Now, I did try doing this earlier, so I've already removed the screws, but you will see that there are 4 screw holes there. You see it in here, there, and there. And so I had to remove those 4 in order to do that. And to do that, I used a drill with a long drill bit. I've got a wobbly drill bit, but anything works with that. All right, so now that I've done that, this entire car stereo system will carefully pull out. And so if I do that, you can see around the back here, there are about 6 different cables. And this is where you want to sort of pay attention to the design of it. Once I'm done with this, I'll show you what this one looks like at the back, so that you can compare online and make sure you order the right one. But I'm just going to go and pull each of these out. They're all different sizes, so thankfully you don't have to label them as long as you're good at shape sorting. There we go. So that's all of them out. Let me just grab my phone again and show you the back of it. So I actually didn't need to pull these 2 here out. There's a cable that just connects some stuff internally within the system. But you can see here for a second the design of this one on the back. So if you have this design on the front, hopefully you have this design on the back, and hopefully that corresponds to what you see in the harness. Going to start connecting each of the wires in the harness into each of these different clips, and there should be one for each of them. And so I'm just going to start clipping these connectors together. Now, if you do not put all the connectors in, if you try to use a harness that does not work, you will find out very quickly that your Prius does not work very well when the radio is removed. It basically goes into limp mode, which means that nothing works the way that it is supposed to. And that's not a great place to be in. So let's see here, I've connected 4 of these connectors. There is, I think, like 8 different connectors, and thankfully, as I said, they are all completely different from one to the next. So there's a ton of connectors on here that do not appear to be used, that are just part of this harness. Thankfully, you can see all these different connectors that I have here. There's going to be a bunch of these that aren't going to connect, but they're on the harness side rather than on the car side. So I'm not too concerned if I don't have all of those connected. I'm just concerned if there's stuff that's in the car that's not connected, because then stuff is not going to work properly. Alright, so I have connected everything up in this harness here. There is a second cable here that connects, that brings the reversing video input in, and there's also got connections for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on it. And so now I've got my replacement stereo here. I am going to start putting the wires into the back of it. So it's going to be pretty tricky to do single-handedly. But basically there is a series of cable connectors like this. Each one is of a different size, and each one connects to each of the cables in that. And then there's a black cable that goes here. A couple of things to note as I was doing this. A couple of lessons learned. So first thing is, do not turn the car back on before you've reconnected your parking brake, otherwise your car will get really pissed off at you and tell you to check the hybrid brake train system. Lesson learned. The other thing is, if you have lights on in your car, do not pause the project halfway through and leave it, because then you will wonder why your car doesn't start. Yeah, simple, obvious lessons, but things that I ran into with this. So I am going to go in the process of just connecting each of these things. There is the sort of phono type plug that goes in this hole. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different connectors that go into these adapters. There's one that is for connecting a USB cable. I'm going to just connect that up and figure out what I actually want to do with it later on. And then there is this big black connector here that connects to this connector here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect all of those and come back here once I'm done with that. Alright, a little bit more testing of this. I've paired my phone with the radio, and I just went ahead and tested that the audio works. Alright, stop that before I get another UMG copyright strike on my channel. But that seems to be working. I also put the car into reverse, and the camera came on. Alright, so I just pushed the piece into this piece of trim, so now I can reverse the order of putting stuff back here, and I can lift this piece of trim and insert it back into the position on the car. With volume up, good. Volume down, good. Track up, goes back. Track down, goes forward. So I also completely forgot that there is a GPS antenna that connects in here, and you want to route it through to a window. So I have pulled it through the speaker column. I've currently got it hanging down here, and I've just poured a bunch of random panels off here. I am going to sneak it up this trim column here into that small space up there. A couple of other hacks that I had to do to get this to work okay. See that tab there? That connects into one of these tabs here. This one here was a little loose, so I had to put some duct tape on it just to create a little bit of friction. I also put a wad of duct tape behind the system just to stop it from sinking in if you over enthusiastically press the buttons. The other thing is that tab also sticks out a little bit, so I took a little bit of the trim off the power thing. You can't see that once all the trim is back together again. It doesn't serve much of a structural purpose, but that prevented it from refusing to go in. I fought with this for quite a while, but now it should go in. So next you see, I will have that panel back in place. Alright, the trim is back in place for the stereo system and the power button, so now I'm just going to reverse the steps and put in the cup holder trim. I'm going to need to figure out what I do with the USB cable before I do that. At the moment I've just got it sort of coming down here, but I'm going to try and route it into this thing, probably into the cup holder if I can manage it, and we will see where we go from there. Alright, so I now have all of the trim back into place, and you can see here I snuck the USB cable through in behind the cup holder. Probably not a good idea to mix cups of water with electronics, but I didn't say any of this was necessarily a good idea, and so should be able to start the car. I reset the power by pulling the battery so that the hybrid system didn't get upset, and now I'm going to start up the system here. So there you go. Everything seems to be working, including the door ajar button. So all set. Okay, it's been a couple of days since I installed this, and I figured I would share my overall thoughts on the experience and a couple of final tips for people doing this. So first thing I will say is that installing anything like this in a car is a little bit stressful and not entirely trivial. If you screw up, it is easy to leave your car in an inoperable state, particularly in a Prius, given how integrated everything is into the way stuff works. But what I did find was that with this particular product that I bought on Amazon, as cheap as it was, there was a little card inside of the box that said to contact them via WhatsApp. These are made in China, they're supported in China, but out of pretty much any company that I can think of that I've worked with, their support team when they were awake, which was basically between the hours of 11 p.m. and God knows what time, were very helpful and responsive, and really helped me get this thing up and running. One quick thing that I didn't include in the video that I probably should have. Apparently these brackets on the side of the device here, of the head unit, if you put those in, it provides a little bit more support to the back of the unit, saving you from doing the duct tape thing that I did. I'm not entirely convinced on that, but I'm not about to tear the thing out and try again, given that it is in there pretty snug with what I did to support it. I also glossed over the fact that the XM radio isn't connected. There was a loose cable in the back once I was done that didn't have a socket, and that was for the XM antenna or XM radio system. But these types of things typically don't come with XM, but you can download the Sirius XM app if you're already subscribed to that, and just run it in Android Auto or on the head unit itself. It's worth mentioning that these devices, unlike something that you would get in a factory installed device where the car manufacturer has put some effort into designing it, are running on a pretty janky version of Android. It is using a lot of non-standard apps, and I'm not entirely sure how close to stock Android this thing actually is. So this interface here is a little bit weird, but as soon as you go into this T-Link app, it basically brings up Android Auto, and then everything is behaving as if it was running on your phone. So, you know, basically go into this mode and you don't really have to worry or think about the fact that you are in this weird operating system on your car. A couple of other things that I found with this. So when I did the factory install, the steering wheel controls were reversed. So the up and down buttons, if I pressed up, it went back a track. If I pressed down, it went forwards a track. And it took me a while to figure this out. I had to actually reach out to the manufacturers. So if you go into your settings, so it asks you for a pin. Apparently the pin is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you go in here and you can change all kinds of things. This probably makes stuff break if you press the wrong thing. But down at the bottom, way down at the very bottom, is switch the steering wheel up and down. And if you change that to open, the steering wheel controls now behave the way that you would want. The other thing that I realized with this is that pressing the pickup button here does not open up your contacts like it does on the stock head unit for Prius, but now this button that used to get you the really janky Prius thing now will automatically trigger Google Assistant once you have it running, and so that kind of makes up for the fact that you don't have your phone book automatically showing up on the screen. So that's pretty much everything that I have at this stage with the experience. I would ask if you get a chance, subscribe to the channel. I'm not exactly sure what you'll find on there. It's going to probably be more music concert videos than anything. So, but if you have questions about this process, put something in the chat, and I'm happy to try and answer questions as best as I can. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the video.